Straight ahead, everybody. Eric the middle. Guys over here. Straight ahead, everybody.
John Travolta, Lindsay Lohan, director Nick Cassavetes, and John Gotti Jr. were among the actors and personalities who attended a New York City press conference announcing the new Fiore Films movie titled Gotti: Three Generations. At the press conference, it was announced that Oscar winner Joe Pesci, famous for My Cousin Vinny and for Goodfellas, will play Angelo Ruggiero, and also announced was the potential participation of Lindsay Lohan, who would play Victoria Gotti. John Travolta, who is playing John Gotti Sr., said there was a bond between him and John's son, John Jr., and he talked about what the most surprising thing was about the family that he discovered.
Unlike Jr., perhaps John Gotti Sr. had a moral code that was stronger to his code, if you will, that John Jr. kind of fell in love with his family, and not that John Sr. wasn't in love, but this other idea perhaps came first. His father lost a son, and I've lost a son, and we discussed that in depth and how painful that is, and how painful it was for his father. And it was an amazing kind of evening. I thought, it was a bonding of some sort.
Travolta talked about possibly working with Lindsay Lohan, and filmmaker Mark Fiore talked about where they presently stand.
Lindsay is a terrific actress. We're very glad to have her here today, and I am in talks with Lindsay to be in the movie. Nothing has been finalized, but we are definitely in talks.
I know for firsthand, and I think it was on television, that Lindsay Lohan happens to be a very big fan of mine. From years ago when she was a little girl, and she probably liked anywhere from Danny Zuko to Vinnie Barbarino. So I've always thought she was gorgeous and talented and filled with a lot of depth. So I think whatever she would like to do would be great with me.
John Gotti Jr. talked about what the angle of the film would be.
Many times you hear people say that, John Gotti was a killer, John Gotti was a gangster, he was this, he was that. Yeah, he was. But he was also a man's man, which is most important. And he made a choice. He made a choice to be something in his life. And he stood true to those convictions. He never one time deviated from that path, not once. And in the end, when he had an opportunity to say uncle, he believed he was right, he stood his course, and he suffered. He suffered greatly. He paid for every sin he may or may not have committed. And that's what I want everybody to understand. That's one of the main things, when I spoke to Nick and spoke to Mark, I says, this is what we need, what I want, what's most important to me at the end, when people walk away, after watching this movie, they can draw their own conclusions. They can say John was a good guy, John was a bad guy, I liked him, I dislike him, but he most certainly paid for his sins. He suffered and he paid for his sins like a man.
There is still to be an announcement as to who will play John Gotti Jr., to which John quipped Eddie Murphy. The actor is said to be A-list, and an announcement is forthcoming in the next week or two.